right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back. Sitting across from me tonight, I got Fabian Flight Bailey, who is one of the best barbers here in Austin, Texas. As a 2020 graduate of Bevel Barber School here in Austin, he has experience with both curly hair, straight hair, from bald fades to long hair. Flight's got you covered on all of it. Assuming my research was accurate, before barbering, Flight went to the Central Texas College as a sociology major. He was a sales broker for a little bit, a sales executive within the automotive industry. He partnered with a company called Zebra for a few years, and you might recognize Flight from an episode he made a guest appearance on with the entire Bearded Barber crew last summer. He's now back for his solo episode. I can't wait to see where this conversation goes. Flight, welcome to your episode of David's Saturday Night Sit Back.
Nice. Thank you.
How accurate or inaccurate was that?
That's pretty accurate. How'd you know I went to CTC? I didn't do sociology though. It was I bounced around. College wasn't very successful for me.
Why'd you go originally?
So originally I went first I went to a school called NPC in California. And it's like California's version of a JUCO, and they got NCAA sports, and my brother went there. My brother actually, he went there and he competed enough for them to actually like somewhat build out a stadium. They had, their track was like my middle school. It was like a dirt track and some bleachers and like grass in the middle for them to practice football. And then because he competed far enough, they got approved to build a track and a football field because like he went pretty far. That got him a scholarship to Middle Tennessee. But I went there because, like an idiot, my senior year, well, pulling my hamstring wasn't the idiot thing. Well, partially because I didn't stretch enough. But I had I think it was at Texas Southern. The coach reached out to me, wanted to offer me a scholarship, even though he knew my hamstring was jacked. And I was like, Baylor's going to holler at me. And so I never reached back out to him. And then by the time I came to my senses, he had given away my money to someone else who obviously deserved it more. So I went to MPC to try to chase the track dream and do that. And it didn't go so well. I didn't like completely heal. And my first track meet, I felt like I was running backwards, and that was like a hard pill for me to swallow. Yeah. And so I came back home thinking I was going to train with this guy, Coach Sloan. I thought I was going to train with Coach Sloan, get back in shape, and then like walk on to a team. And then as I was here, like I kind of realized track was more of like my older brother's dream and my parents' dream for me. And so when I kind of realized that was the same time, it was like I was at like a year. I was coming up on my last semester to make it a year at CTC. And I was like, man, Pops, I'm tired of wasting your money. I was like, you said you would pay for these first 2 years, and I'm really not interested in anything further. So let's just save your money and I'll get a job. And I already had a job, but he was like, all right. And I stopped going to school.
There you go.
Yeah. I wanted to be a doctor, though. I thought I did, but
I wanted to be a chemist for a little bit. I thought it would be so cool to have this job where you're working in a lab and you're just like mixing shit up and making the chemicals like burn and the smoke and the different colored liquids. And then I took a chemistry course in high school.
And you hated it? Yeah. It was too much math, huh?
Too much math, the periodic table, all the formulas. I was just like, I don't want to work. I want to.
Yeah.
And then here I am podcasting. Easiest job ever, at least in terms of like compared to like a chemistry or math, or as a kinesiology major too. And if for 2 semesters, and same thing, they had us taking chem courses and biology courses. And I was like, well, if I have a track runner with a pulled hamstring and he or she comes to me to help them rehab that injury, why do I need to know chemistry and biology? Like that doesn't, this is so impractical.
Well, maybe for, I guess like supplement use.
Maybe.
You know? I don't know. I'm reaching.
Don't play devil's advocate for these guys.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm looking to get chemistry and biology written from the kinesiology courses. Save that for the chemists.
Yeah,
the Walter Whites of the world who are going to start their underground.
Meth business and make a lot of money.
Yeah, you saw that show?
I've seen like episodes here and there. I kind of man, that's another show that's like right from the get-go. Like it has like kind of a slow start and then boom, it's just going crazy from the beginning. But I only seen like the first like 2 or 3 episodes and then like random episodes later on in the show because my friends were watching it.
Gotcha.
But like the episode where he calls the cop and lies to him about his wife. And then the cop shows up and punches him in the face.
Oh! You're talking about Jesse, and his wife is in the hospital.
Yeah.
And then Hank goes to Jesse's house. Because he knows, and he beats the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Poor Jesse.
And Jesse's the guy that was helping the teacher, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The like sort of tattooed, blonde, skinny punk rock type-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact. Last night we were watching Exodus. I fell asleep on it though, but I'm gonna finish watching that later. But he was in there. He was Jesse was one of the Hebrews getting whipped, and he was like smiling because he told the guy he didn't feel pain. And I was like, that's our boy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Is Exodus a show or a movie?
It's a movie about the Exodus in the Bible. Yeah.
Newer movie or older one? It must be newer if he's in it.
2015, I think.
Okay. I had no idea they remade that again.
Oh, there was one before that? Only thing I've ever...
So when I was... How old are you?
I am 33. I'll be 34 in June.
So there's one from like... probably the 60s or 70s that we watched growing. I vaguely remember it as a kid. So that was
you grew up
old.
In you like went to Catholic school and stuff, right?
Christian, yeah.
Christian school,
yeah.
Okay. Only thing I ever seen was
the cartoon
Prince of Egypt. Yeah.
What a throwback to kid. Oh man, that's bringing back some memories right there. And now Jesse Pinkman's playing. I have no idea what that guy's name is in real life. He's a darn. Is he good in it though?
Honestly, that was the only part that I saw him on because I fell asleep. I don't know if he was on there more, but he was just like getting whipped. So I mean, he did good at acting like it didn't hurt, but I'm sure he wasn't really getting whipped either. So
right.
But he's a great actor. I think there was a lot of pretty good actors in there. Christian Bale was Moses.
Oh,
that's crazy.
He's a pretty heavy hitter.
Christian
Batman
Bale
is Moses.
Exactly, bro. But the thing that did kind of bother me is like, okay, we're in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Egypt. You have Christian Bale as Moses, and like none of the I don't expect for them to make everyone black, but I thought at least like, Indian or South Asian, right, or like maybe some Egyptians, right, like maybe, but like most of the people were white. And I was like, could have tried a little harder to make it more accurate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
well, that's like, I feel like they do that in so many movies. Like what's the one about the, It's the only true part of the movie is that they are defending the Great Wall of China, but it's a movie about, I believe, like all these monsters or aliens or something are attacking the Great Wall, and the lead general is this white dude. It's like Chris Hemsworth or something. And you're like, wait a second, what are we?
Something's wrong here. Something's wrong here.
Yeah, but they do that quite a bit. Say, today I saw a trailer for they re-released. Or not re-released, but they remade Zorro into a show on Amazon.
Oh.
And so they have it in Spanish, which I thought that's sort of cool, since I believe the story takes place in...
I think so.
Except the actor is just like the whitest dude ever. And he could be a Hispanic dude that maybe just is very, very white.
Yeah.
But even when I was listening to his voice and just looking at like his eyes and his nose, I'm like, it's me with hair.
He could
10 years ago.
He could be Spanish.
He could be. Yeah, he could be.
I think a lot of the actors, especially like in on like telenovela or telemundo, I guess is the correct term, like Spanish TV, tend to be a little fair skinned.
Yeah.
And I never knew that. And I think someone was talking to me about it, and I was like, there's no way that the same shit's happening in Mexico. But maybe.
Maybe. We just went from Breaking Bad to Exodus to... How'd we get on to Breaking Bad? Oh, we were talking about chemists. Yeah. Before we hopped on mics, you mentioned that you were hunting.
Oh yeah,
or you've been hunting. I didn't know you hunted. What do you hunt? What do you
that
use?
That was my first time ever hunting. It was Wednesday this year after Christmas.
Okay.
And I'm not a real prepper, but I like the idea of not necessarily being a prepper, but being prepared and that lifestyle. So one of the things I feel like is important for me to know is how to, at least field dress an animal.
Yeah.
Anybody can learn how to shoot one, you
right.
know. But it was deer, and I got a doe, whitetail female. She was like 80 pounds once we field dressed her, so she could have been like maybe like 110 without her guts. But it was really cool. I really like nature and like the idea of going out, getting some meat.
Yeah.
Killing it myself.
Yeah.
And bringing it home to my wife and my 2 kids. Like, I don't know. There's something about that like gets me going. I don't know. I've always kind of like I told you, I like Westerns. Me and my wife watch a lot of like Alaskan Frontier, and she loves that show, Naked and Afraid. But like primitive survival skills, hunting, camping, I like that stuff. Yeah. And I'm like trying to do more of it now that I'm adult and I like kind of have control of it.
Yep.
And I had a client offering to take me hunting for free because, in Texas, hunting is kind of expensive. So he took me hunting and I loved it. We used a Browning 270. It's a rifle. The round is pretty large.
Okay.
I only have an AR for a rifle, and then I have a shotgun, which the target, the deer was about 80 yards out. So using my shotgun might not have been very efficient, Even if I had a slug, it probably wouldn't have been very efficient. So I borrowed his, and it was an experience, man. I didn't have to track her down because I hit her in the right spot, but she was really strong, so she didn't like just die from the impact. And so I had to put her out of her misery, which was like, I'm not glad it happened because I'd rather her just instant.
Right.
But I am also happy that I had to face that. I'm not going to lie. I was a little weirded out with myself that I guess I didn't have like any remorse. Mainly because I knew I plan on like eating all of the meat that I can. And I wasn't like trophy hunting or nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like, you know, you took a life with a bullet. Like I'm into firearms and I've only shot at targets.
Right.
You know, I've never shot at someone. I've never even pointed my gun at someone.
Right.
And so, and I know a deer is not a person, but it's still like a living thing.
Right.
And I took its life. And then I had to like point blank shoot it to take it out of its misery with my pistol. And so, I don't know. It was kind of surprising, but I was also like satisfied with how I handled it.
Yeah.
And then,
what was sort of going through your head? So after you shot her and realized that you were going to have to put her out of her misery and you're walking over to her, was there any hesitancy, or do you remember what was going through your head, or was it almost like one of those moments where you, for lack of a better term, you sort of black out? You know, it is, you know what I mean? Have you ever had those moments in life?
Yeah, definitely. So like when I hit her, it like, so like when you shoot a deer, you want to like where the shoulder is, you want to like shoot it like right in the shoulder, maybe a little behind it, because that's usually it'll hit the heart and the lungs.
Okay. And
stop them from running too far. Or do what I did, and it broke both of their shoulders as well as hit the heart. So, like, really I was just watching her, I'm like, where is she? That's what I was thinking, because she popped up when she got hit, and her legs hit the ground, and her shoulders just broke. And she's, like, dragging her face around, because her back legs were still intact. She's like dragging herself around trying to get away.
Right.
And I couldn't see her because the grass was kind of tall. So really I was just like, where is she?
Yeah.
And he saw her, but I didn't. And then we found her. And then when we found her, she was kind of like looking around. And he was like, you got your pistol? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, well, if you're okay with it, go ahead and put her out her misery. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to shoot her right in the eye. And he was like, all right. And I did it. And then after that, I was like, did I miss? Because the eye I shot was still there, but it had swelled up. But on the other side, the other eye was gone from the exit wound. So I didn't miss, but like, you know, I'm a believer, so
right.
When I was done and we got her in the side by side, I prayed and was like thankful for the hunt and for the life. And then, like, honestly, I was just like, there's kind of a lot of adrenaline, you know?
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
A lot of adrenaline. And I was just like, I was really just weirded out that I was so excited, you know, but I was kind of indifferent, I guess, because I was like in between, like, man, this is so exciting, but should I be this excited? But it was cool.
I had on similar to your first episode, I had on a chef, a rancher, and a bass player. And me. And by the end of the episode, we decided we're going to title the episode The Hog Squad. So it's going to be Hog Squad Episode 1.
Okay.
And the way that came about is that we've all almost been in Texas long enough that we can get guns. And so we're going to get some guns, and we want to go hog hunting.
I'm down.
And if you want to join it's a pretty cool group of guys. I would have a hard time seeing the dynamics, knowing what I know of you, of them. We'd all you're also laid back. So, but yeah, we've always wanted to hunt, but we just have never had the opportunity. So we were like, why don't we just, the four of us, become like almost accountability buddies. And hopefully one day it leads to something other than hog. But the chef, one of the things that he hasn't done yet and is a skill he wants to learn is to how to dress and butcher all kinds of animals, whether it's a hog, a deer, a cow. He wants to be able to essentially add that to his resume in a sense. And I thought, well, that's pretty crazy, you know, because in the accounting world, like, I'm so used to the way you build your resumes. You go work at a company like ABC for 5 years, and for him, he was like, you know, I forgot to ask him, like, if he wants to go back to any kind of culinary schools, but for him, his main goal over the next couple of years is to be able to butcher his own meat. And whatnot. And he can, in a sense, you know, they get pretty big pieces of meat sent to the restaurant he works at. So he sort of has some exposure to it, but not with the animal fully intact with the hair and everything. So, and apparently, I guess you might know more about this than I would. Texas has it's overrun with hogs. So the state or some entity will actually pay you like $25 per hog that you kill because it will help keep the population in check a little bit. So that's why we figured start with that. It's relatively affordable. Barrier to entry is low. It's affordable. And then we can sort of have that same experience you had and see, like, did we feel weird about this? Are we, you know, or sort of what's our reaction? But to your point, I think my adrenaline is going to be at an all-time high. Cause like you said, we're not just killing for the sake of killing. We're all going to have some meat to bring back home. And then when I'm in this kitchen looking up how to cook hog and I'm cooking a meal that I provided, like, oh man, it's going to be wild.
Very satisfying. And I was happy because, like, I've always said, like, if you're scared of hunting, you probably shouldn't eat meat. Or not necessarily hunting, but like, well, yeah, hunting, but also like cutting meat or, you know, like doing all of that. Like I've known people that are like, oh yeah, I'll eat, but I can't touch red meat. And I'm like, wait, what?
I've never heard someone say that before.
Yeah, like this girl, I can't remember who she was, but she was like, she can cook chicken and everything else, but she was like, red meat is too close to human. And I'm like, you've had raw human in your hand before?
But she'll eat it.
But
not human, but yeah. Like steaks or beef.
Yeah, she'll eat steaks and stuff, but it has to be cooked. She doesn't even like to really even see it raw. And I was like, you probably shouldn't eat it.
See, you know what's wild is, like, I love cooking, and when I make meatballs and I throw all the ingredients in the bowl and I'm fucking forming those things by hand, and then same thing with steaks when I'm patting the salt on them or whatever it is, I
enjoy it.
Yeah, man, I love the kitchen. Thanks to my parent, well, mostly my mom, but yeah, we were raised in the kitchen. We were cooking side by side dinners with them from, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, something as long as I can remember. What about you? Were you?
I wanted to be a chef.
Cook? You did?
I wanted to be a chef, and I have a friend who tells people, like, yeah, I was raised on this guy's cooking because he used to come over to our house every day for dinner. And he was an only child. He's an only child, so hanging out with me and my siblings was, like, awesome for him. And he was the only friend that could come over during the weekdays, and we were able to stay the night at his house. We weren't able to stay the night at a lot of people's house, but he's still my best friend to this day. But I wanted to be a chef, and so I don't remember how old I was, maybe like 10 to 12. My mom started letting me cook, and like presentation, like I had to plate well, and she would make me replate, and she'd make me clean up as I go.
Really? Mm-hmm. She'd make you replate?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, especially if I was like trying to be like extra like fancy that day, like she would be like, you got to clean that up, and this is not presentable, like you can't give it like that if you want to be a chef. And I'm like, dang, okay. But yeah, my grandpa was a cook or chef in the military.
Okay.
And so I guess that's where she picked up her knowledge from it. But my mom, she was always like if I say I want to be a doctor, she'll say, okay, well, you know, you're going to own your own practice, or you know, be a partial owner of the hospital you work in. Like, she always wanted us to think from like an owner's standpoint. And I guess she just wanted us to not be like, she wanted to try to break a mold a bit and not be convinced that we couldn't be owners because we weren't rich. But when I was cooking, I used to cook for the family till I got a job. And once I got a job, I was never home, you know?
Yeah.
Because I ran track. I did track, football, and basketball up until 10th grade. And then when I got to 10th grade, I got serious about track. And when I got serious about track, that meant summer track. I would wake up in the morning and go to school and run half of the cross country workout because I ran the 400, and that would help with my stamina. And then I would go to school junior year and senior year. I had 0 hour. And so I would go to track practice, go to 0 hour, be out of class by third period, go to work, and then get out of work and go to track practice. And then after track practice, my summer track coach would add a supplemental workout where he would ask me what we did. Then if I needed more running, he would have me do some running. If I did enough running that day, we would work on starts or like form and drills to help me with form, and then go to the weight room. And so like every day I'm getting home at like, I don't know, like 9, 10, and then doing my homework and going to bed and waking up at 4 in the morning again and repeat. And I woke up at 4 so I could say bye to my mom more than anything. Big mama's boy, and she had to drive early to work.
You and your mom are pretty close. That's cool. Me and my mom are too. So you would, if you were getting home at 9 or 10 and you were doing homework, so you were probably going to bed at like 11 or midnight, I'm imagining the second your head hit that pillow, you were probably knocked just out. Bro. Yeah.
Out.
And then getting 4 hours of sleep. You were hustling.
I really was.
What about track was the appeal to you? Why'd you get serious about that over football or basketball?
So sophomore year, like all growing up, I thought I was going to be a basketball player. My dad was like varsity starter his freshman year. He made the varsity squad, but he was second string, and the senior got hurt. And when he got hurt, my dad was up, and he played better than the senior, so he took his spot. And then my dad was a starter all 4 years that he was there. And he went to a small school. His school was probably like 3A. It probably would have. It was in Georgia, but if it was in Texas, it probably would have been like 3A. 5A was the biggest. Now they have like double 5A or something because schools are that freaking big now. But because my dad was that, like I thought, like yeah, like I'm gonna be a point guard like my dad. And you know, you got to be better than your pops, so I'm gonna go to the league. And I got to high school, and my coach in 10th grade, he was like, all right, you made the varsity, but you're probably not gonna play. He was like, you could play on JV, you could try to prove that you're gonna get some playing time, or you can focus on track. And I was like, oh, let me go home and talk to my dad. I went home, talked to my dad, and he was like, pretty much the same that my coach said. He was like, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to focus on track because you're really good at it, and that could get you somewhere. And I was like, whoa, you know, what's pro for track? And he was like, the Olympics. And we didn't even realize that there's an actual pro circuit for track. And my older brother is the one who put me on. He actually ran semi-pro track. But I looked up to my older brother, and he ran track. And then also I realized, oh, wait, is the year I'm graduating. And that was the year of an Olympics. So I was going to try and be the first person to go from high school to the Olympics. But I pulled my hamstring, and that didn't work out too good. But I mean, I wasn't a slouch. One of the guys that was faster than me that I ran with was Robert Griffin the third, or as everyone else knows him as RG3. We didn't go to school together. He went to Carpus Cove, but like he was faster than me. I'm not going to say he wasn't faster than me, but like he was like one of the few people that were faster than me like in our district. So, like, I wasn't a slouch, and, like, everybody thought Rob was going to the Olympics. Nobody thought he was going to be a quarterback, bro. I think that, like, their quarterback got in some real big trouble. He ended up being QB, and, like, Rob is, like, one of the most coachable athletes there is. And that helped him graduate early and get a half scholarship for football, half scholarship for track to Baylor. And he changed Baylor's losing streak and finally beat UT actually too. That shit was crazy. Like I've always been a Baylor fan. I'm a UT fan too, but I've always been a Baylor fan because that's the school to run the 400 meter dash in, and that's what's my race. Because the coach at Baylor was Michael Johnson's coach, Jeremy Warner's coach, a few other 400 runners that like have broken records and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to Baylor. I'm going to be an Olympian. Didn't happen.
I had no idea about you. I mean, granted, most of our interactions have been in the barbershop, and then the episode that we did together. It's hard. It would have been hard to deep dive into anyone's past story because then I wouldn't have wanted to invite 4 people over and had one person do like 90% of the talking, you know? That's crazy, man. The Olympics were on your radar.
I thought they were.
How'd you pull your hamstring? What was the circumstances behind that?
So junior year, it's crazy because that summer, like, I was in the first heat for the qualifier for junior Olympics, and my coach, he told me he was gonna take me to the track meet and not my parents, and I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, eat oatmeal in the morning, and like he gave me a strict regimen, and it's coming to like 30 minutes before I have to run, and this fool's not picking up his phone, nothing. So I was like, all right, bet. I'm just going to go. Let's go. And we left, and I get there, and I'm like telling the people to please hold the race. I'm supposed to be racing. And the guy on the microphone, like, tells the guy with the gun to wait. And I run down. It was at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. I run down from the top all the way to the bottom. No practice, no warm-up, no stretching. Just what I did at home before I left, and just hopped in the blocks. And I was first all the way through the whole heat. I mean, through the whole first 300, and then the monkey got on my back because I didn't stretch or anything. And it's crazy because, like, usually on that last 100, like, I get tunnel vision and I don't hear anything. And I started feeling like I was running backwards, and like 4 people passed me actually. And all I heard my brother say was, hold your form, lift your knees. And I did that, and I just started catching up, but I only got to pass 2 of those guys, and I got 3rd place, and that wasn't enough out of the 3 heats to make it to Junior Olympics. And that was like my last chance because I would have been too old after that. And when I got done, my coach is walking through, and he's like, where were you? I was like, I just ran my race. I was like, where were you?
Right.
I was like, I called you like 20 times. And then he was like, whoa. I was like, I'm going home. And he was like, you need to stay here with your team. And I was like, no, you weren't there for me, so I'm going home. All you care about is Tiffany, so I'm going home. And he was like mad about that, and he kicked me off the team when I came back to practice that day, my summer track team. So there was a few things that kind of like helped track not work out for me, but I think it was for the best. Now that like hindsight's 2020, right? Like,
yep.
I met my wife. I wouldn't have met my wife because if I would have gone to the Olympics, I'd probably have like illegitimate kids and be this big-headed asshole. You know,
Maybe not. Maybe not.
No. This is for sure.
I was trying to play the devil's advocate for you, and you said no.
Bro. When I was young, I was so like insecure. I would play the most insecure person to where like I was conceited. Like I was a asshole, bro. Like when I would walk through the door and somebody's coming, instead of being like, excuse me, I'd be like, excuse you. Like I would tell people, excuse you. And I would always say stuff like when Kanye was like, my presence is a present. Like I would always be like, you're lucky I'm even here. Like I had a big head, bro. Like I needed to be humbled.
Where do you think that came from?
It came from part of it. I feel like is living in Killeen. Killeen's military town.
Is that home? Sorry, is that home for you, or is that where you were born?
Well, that's where I'm from.
Okay,
I was born in Germany, but I moved to Killeen a couple weeks before I was 2. So
gotcha.
That's all I knew is Killeen. But I like in Killeen, it's like very competitive. You always have new people coming in, and usually like when someone moved to Killeen and they come to your school, they were the it guy at their school, so they would claim. So like everybody thought they were the shit, you know. And like even with your boys, like y'all are boys, but you know, when you come to school, you're trying to be dressed better than your homie. You're trying to pull more girls than your homie. You're trying to be the best athlete. And so, like, I had to get to a point kind of to where it was like, I don't care if anyone else believes it. I believe it. And that was, like, what pushed me. Like, so it was like, you know how, like, it was a strength, right? I believed in myself.
Right.
But it became a weakness because I didn't like harness it right, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So when you think about the other guys in your school and in your town, were they all and you can only talk on what you observed, right? You don't know what was going on in their heads or whatnot, but was everyone sort of had that arrogant mentality, or no?
Some of my homies, yeah, but most of them know. Like everybody knew, like I was the conceited one. Like I was the one speaking in third person, and
in what way? Like what would you say?
Like I'd be like, nah, Fabe's not trying to do that. Or, yeah, like Fabe's not trying to do that, or like these fools can't touch Fabe. Like it was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
You mentioned siblings, plural. Is it just you and your brother, or is there additional ones too?
No, I have 3 brothers and a sister.
All from the same parents?
So me and my oldest brother have different dads.
Okay.
And then around, I want to say like first grade, kindergarten, maybe like first or second grade, my cousins, my 2 younger brothers and my sister, they moved in with us because they were going through the foster system, and my mom didn't want them separated, and she wanted them with family because they couldn't be with their parents. So she went and became their foster parent. Yeah, and the reason why she did foster instead of adoption, because adoption, they would have had to take our last name. And my mom wanted them to still have who they were. But also, it's very expensive to adopt children in the States. And my parents couldn't afford that. So fostering was the easier way to, like, get them as soon as possible, get them out the system, and have them in a home with family and people who care about them. Honestly, like, I really commend my mom for that, and my dad too, because like his dad was not around, so he grew up without him, and so like he didn't have like that example of being a father.
Yeah.
But he stuck around for me. He took my mom in, and she had a 7-year-old. Like, you know, like dating a chick with a kid is one thing, but then dating a chick with a 7-year-old, like that kid knows that you're not their dad, and like there's going to be that period of adjustment, you know, and a lot of guys I don't want to deal with that, to be honest. Like when I was dating before I met my wife, I dated a few girls with kids, and it was either like some MILF whose kid was like my age and out the house, or a chick my age with a very young child, because like I just didn't want to be fighting. I didn't want to be like, oh, I won your mom over, now I have to win you over type deal, like, which is kind of fucked up on my end because it's a package deal. But I just didn't want to deal with it, you know? And I feel like most single guys are like that. Like, if she has a kid and the kid's old, they're like, maybe it's cool, maybe it's not. But my preference was not. One kid was my maximum. If you have more than one kid, no go. And honestly, the only reason why I would even accept a kid is because, like, if my dad didn't accept my mom having a kid, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
So I was like, oh, okay, maybe one kid. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Backtracking though, I'm really happy I didn't. And it's crazy because, like, I feel like this may be the first time I'm saying I'm really happy I didn't go pro. Because it was really hard for me to accept that for a real long time. And I went through a really dark time once I, like, accepted that, like, I wasn't on this fast track rich plan in life anymore. And that, like, everything that I measured up to success, I wasn't there. And so, like, it was really hard for, like, a good 4 or 5 years. And, man, but I met my wife. We have 2 beautiful babies. And, like, I've never met anyone that's down for me like my wife. Like, you know how people say, like, ride or die? I used to always be like, nah, she got to be a ride and die. Like, whichever one comes first. That's what I want. And, like, that's what my wife is. Like, bro, I could have you in the trunk and go home, and my wife would be like, all right, we're going to drop the kids off and get rid of the body.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like, facts. She'd be like,
some real Yellowstone dynamics right there.
Right?
Not to spoil anything. Yeah, you're early on in the show, but
yeah, they do, like, I mean, at the beginning when they're over the cattle.
Yeah. Episode 1, the pilot.
That was really fucking sad, bro. But it was, like, also crazy because, like, you could tell that his brother-in-law was ready to kill. He was going to kill somebody.
Yep.
And then, like, you know, when they showed it, it looked like he only... Actually, you could spoil this for me because I'm curious. Did he do the 3 shots in the chest? Or did someone else do it to make him look worse?
Pretty sure. I'm 99% sure it was Casey.
Dang.
Yeah. Well, you see him do. You see him do it. It was him.
Well, yeah, but I thought he just, like, maybe the headshot, you know?
They definitely never implied that someone else did it to make him look worse. I'm fairly certain it was Casey.
Dang. That's why he wouldn't tell his girl what he did.
Yeah.
Sheesh. That's savage. Boy, my mind's blown right now. But, I mean, he did kill his brother, though.
Right.
Sheesh.
Rough way to start a show. Brothers killing brothers-in-law because they killed your brother and
that was
over some cattle because the cattle the fence broke, and so they wandered onto the wrong side of the road, and now we got 2 dead family members right after the dad was almost assassinated in the beginning of the show. And
oh yeah, I was like, damn. And it's crazy, bro, because like my wife went to bed, and I like couldn't go to sleep, so I was like, let's check out Yellowstone. Then I like watched 4 straight episodes. And I was like, fuck, it's like 3 a.m. I need to go to sleep.
Does the bathtub scene happen in one of those 4 episodes?
With the sister?
Yeah.
The outside?
Yep.
Yeah, when their mom's anniversary.
That scene was...
It was intense.
Well, at first, she threw like something electric into the tub.
To heat it up.
So I thought
she was going to kill herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so too. But the brother just was like too nonchalant. And I was like, oh, maybe that's supposed to be in the water.
Right.
But yeah. And when she got in, I was like,
it's too early for another sibling.
Yeah.
This is going to be a 1-season show the way we're just killing off people. But
right.
Well, now knowing what how the 5 total, right? Siblings. Mm-hmm. How was the relationship growing up? Were you guys pretty tight knit?
Oh, yeah. So my brother's 10 years older than me. So ironically, we've always been the closest. But growing up, very close to my brothers and my sister. Like before middle school, me and my sister used to tell people we were twins, which is crazy because like we don't look alike to me. Which you never look like someone else to yourself.
Right.
But she's actually lighter than me. And so, like, I don't know why we thought that would work. But we used to tell people we were twins. And when we first moved in together, it was like me versus them 3 all the time. We were, like, I'm talking brawling. Like, not arguing, like fist fights. Like legit, just like I learned how to fight for real when they moved in, because I mean it would be little stuff like me and my brother were playing tag in the house once, and my sister walked out the room, and like right when I was turning the corner, she was coming out, and boom, smack dab, like we just ran into each other, and I was like dazed because I ran into her so hard, and I was like, I'm so sorry, like holding my mouth. And she just starts wailing on me. And because his sister starts wailing on me, my brother, even though we were just playing together, starts wailing on me. And then my youngest brother comes in and, like, they're kicking the shit. They're beating my ass. And so, like, I always would, like, kind of separate and try to, like, get one at a time. Like, I would, like, back up and one would come at me, and I'd try to take one on while they're coming at me. But for the longest, like, I don't know, maybe like the first year or 2, it's probably longer than that, we would fight a lot. But it was also like when we were at school and at church and everywhere else, don't touch my brother, don't touch my sister, we will hurt you type attitude. So like we were close, but we also fought. But that's siblings, you know. Yeah. But yeah, we were really close. And then like once we got to like middle school and high school, like the end of middle school towards high school, my older sister, we weren't as close anymore, but she just didn't want to be with us because we were the boys, you know, like she wanted to be hanging out with her girlfriends and stuff. That was fine. But then me and my little brother, we always got into it. And I don't know. When we were older, like, because my little brother had moved to California for a long time, and then he came back. And when he came back, me and him had got pretty close, and that was nice. And then my brother, one of them's the same age as me, but I call him my little brother because his birthday's after me.
How close are you guys?
We used to be really close. We're not that close now.
Sorry, I meant in age. Like, how many months apart are your birthdays?
September is his and mine is June.
Damn, really close. So like you're 4. What is that? June is 6 and September is 9. Only barely 90 days older than him.
Yeah, barely.
But that still makes you older. Yeah. So he is your little brother.
Hey, if the twin that comes out first is older, then I'm definitely older.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
But we used to be really close. Like I remember my little brother had ran away, and then he told the social worker he didn't want to be with my parents anymore, and he like moved out at like 15. And
did he emancipate? Or did he just leave and everyone was sort of cool with it?
He was a ward of the state anyway, but nobody was cool with it, but we didn't have a choice because he said he didn't want to live with my parents anymore, and it's like kind of like one of the rules. And my mom was like explaining to him that he can't reverse this because he was like really mad at her. And honestly, like that fucked me up. Like I was really sad when my little brother left. Man, when he was gone for like 3 weeks, because he thought he was gonna get in trouble. He did some shit at school. I was like so worried about him, and I had thought he died because like we couldn't find him, and like Colleen's not that big, you know. And now that I know what I know, that I should have been even more scared because like people get trafficked out of Colleen a lot, which is like something that's like kept under wraps, but. Any small town off of 35 is probably somewhat of a trafficking hub, unfortunately, because anywhere that's like 35 is a drug highway as well. A lot of drugs are pushed on 35 off of 35. So, and somewhere like Colleen, like one of my friend's mom she was a detective. And that was like her unit, like what she was a detective of, like trafficking. And there's an apartments complex that I actually bought weed from there like once or twice when I was an adult. But the whole fucking complex was a fucking the whole building was an operation for trafficking. And so like it was like brothels / like I guess like safe house. And so it's probably why I got drugs from there before, because that's what was going on there. And I didn't know when I got there, but like she told us about it and I was like, what the fuck, I've been there before. Like I didn't even know that's what was going on. I just thought people were living there, you know.
Right.
But yeah, she busted that before and had to arrest the guy. She had to like chase him down and stuff. But my brother, he came home and like he was very like not wanting to be a part of the family and very like standoffish and like saying he didn't want to be there, and like he went through with it. And it sucked because like I would call him, we would talk on the phone. He would be home for Christmas and all the holidays and stuff, but like he had to live in California, and that sucked. That honestly, bro, like that was like I'll never adopt because of that. And if I do, like it has to be like one of those like straight after mom pops it out, I have to have the baby if I'm gonna adopt, because like dealing with like indirectly dealing with what my siblings dealt with, knowing that their parents didn't want them and not being able to like fully accept their new parents who did want them, I don't think I could put myself through that again, especially not as a parent. But yeah, man, that was dang, I didn't think I was gonna talk about that.
Well, welcome to David's Saturday night therapy sessions.
Right?
I've had a couple people say either off mic or I don't know, man. It's something about it's either podcasting or I don't know what it is, but yeah, people. Thank you for talking about it. And so, did he? Since he was 15, did he walk to California? Was he driving? Because you can only have a permit at 15,
no,
right?
they flew him out, and social worker picked him up. He like bounced from boys' homes. He almost had this cop. He almost had this cop adopt him, but he joyrided his his fastback 5.0 Mustang, and that was like he had already been in trouble and he was grounded, and that was like the last straw, and he didn't adopt him, but he bounced around a little bit, and then he like was on his own. And when you turn 18 and you're in like a boys' home like that, there's like a program you can do, and the program, like when you like they give you somewhere to live and like you work and stuff like that, but the money you get, they like take some of it and put it away, and you're supposed to get it later, but he got kicked out of there and they took his money, and it was because he was like, I want my money. I've been working for it. I want my money. And they were like, well, since you don't want to do the program, you got to go. And he was like on his own from there. But I mean, you know, my mom would help when she could. And I mean, when he moved home, he lived with my mom for a little bit. I wasn't at the house anymore, but him and his girl came out. They were doing pretty good. He moved to San Antonio, and then they broke up, and he had lived with my mom for a little bit. But they flew him out there, and then that's how he got there. And I can only imagine what he went through. And I know he felt very alone out there like that, especially because like his mom was in the same state and didn't want nothing to do with him. And we even have and it's crazy how my mind works. They have a little sister, and I feel like it's my little sister too, but we have a little sister that when she was like 2 or 3, my mom went to get her, and she was with us. And once we enrolled her into preschool, the government found out that she was with us, and they stopped sending the checks to my aunt that she was getting for her. They didn't like come get her. They just stopped sending the checks to my aunt. And my aunt was like, oh no, I need my checks. And so she came and got her and took her back. And like, I don't even know her, to be honest. Like, that was the last time I saw her, when her mom came and took her.
How old? So if she was in preschool, how old would you have been?
I was like, I think I was in 6th or 7th grade.
So when I was in 8th, I think I was 13. So you were probably like 11, 12, or 10,
11.
somewhere in there.
Because if you're supposed to be 12 in 7th grade, I was 11.
Okay.
So my birthday's in June. And it's funny. My mom, they told her, oh, yeah, his birthday's in June. He's supposed to be going to school next year. My mom was like, fuck you. My son's going to go to school now. And I'm glad she did.
For preschool. This is like or a different grade.
First grade or whatever,
okay.
Kindergarten, whatever. But yeah, like when you first start school, they were like, no, he's too young. And she's like, no, He's not. He's going to go. And I'm actually glad because, I don't know, maybe it would have been okay. But I like not being older than the girls that were in my grade. So I have a crippling fear of jail.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Partially because I'm black, and everyone makes it seem like it's just like I'm gonna at least go to a holding cell or something at least once in my life. Like, I feel like all my life they've made it seem like I'm gonna get arrested at least once. Haven't been, thank God. Hopefully we can keep it that way. But never been in jail, I've been in handcuffs before, but never been to jail, never been held or detained in a cell or anything like that, like no arrest at all. But also when I was in middle school, we were starting to try to be thugs and like be cool. And my mom was like, hell no, sit down, watch this movie. And we were probably way too young to see that shit, but we had seen worse shit anyway already.
What movie did she show you guys?
It's called Lockdown.
Okay.
And it's a movie where like I think Kid Rock is in it. I think it was Kid Rock. He's the leader Aryan brother in jail. And Master P was in it. A bunch of actors that are like kind of good now, and I just named two people that are not great actors, but the guy that played Antoine Fisher, no, not Antoine Fisher, the guy, what movie is he on? I can't think of the name of a movie now, but basically there was a swimmer, right? And they live in the hood in LA, and this guy's a swimmer, so that's like already like he's an anomaly. He's black, he's in the hood of LA, and he's getting a fucking scholarship to go to schools and swim. And he's dating this girl, and her little brother looks up to him and hangs out with him all the time. And they both don't have a car, but the younger brother's older cousin is a drug dealer. So he has this fucking nice ass Mustang, and so he's driving them around. And the rival dealer kind of framed him, murdered this lady at a fucking drive-through, like for a restaurant, like robs the drive-through and then just shoots her in cold blood. And they thought it was him because they were in the same Mustang. And so the police arrested the older cousin and the younger brother and the boyfriend. And so the younger brother and the boyfriend don't even deserve to be in jail. And they're going to like prison, big time prison. And the first day in jail, the younger brother, he like comes in and like Kid Rock has this like fucking jail cell that's all painted and abstract, and he's got this book of these like abstract drawings, and like there's a fucking, I'm pretty sure there was a Snickers on the pillow in the book, and he's like, yeah man, check it out. He's like eating the Snickers and looking at the book, and he looks up, and Kid Rock and these two other big motherfuckers are standing in front of him smiling. And they rape him. All three of them rape him. And then like every night Kid Rock like makes him suck his dick. He makes him take drugs and stuff. And like he rapes him repeatedly. And like Kid Rock is like the Aryan brother leader in jail. And like it's like all of these fucking racist ass white people. And then like him just sitting there looking like a damn dog, pretty much, like how they treat him. And he wasn't even supposed to be in jail. And then towards the end of the movie, the swimmer, he ended up getting out, but the other two got killed in jail. And like I was like, man, like, my mom always would tell me like these crazy stories as to how like I could just go to jail because I'm black and, no one would be able to help me because we don't have money for lawyers and stuff like that. And I would always be like, it's 2000, whatever. Like, you're crazy. And but that's why I'm scared, because that movie. But so like, she showed us that movie, and she used to tell us stuff all the time. And so like, I'm terrified of jail, as I should be. I think it's a healthy fear. But my mom, one time we were out stupid late, and we were at the park, and my mom was like, what if somebody got killed and that body was in the park and the police came and y'all's black asses are there? They're going to take you to jail because it's easy to solve a case like that. And I'm like, okay. And then that Netflix series about those 4 black kids who were walking through Manhattan Park and there was a dead body there and they blamed it on those kids. Literally the same, like, minus the dead body, but like literally my mom told me that could happen to me, and that those guys are my age. Like, they got out when they were 33 or 30 something, but like they were around my age. Like, they're just a couple years older than me. And like, when I saw that show, like, I was tripping, bro. I haven't even watched it because of that. Like, I seen the previews and I like read a little story, like a little article about it. And I was like, yeah, my mom told me that could happen to me when I was a kid, and I thought she was wrong. So that's going to hit a little too close to home for me. But
so shows like that, even though you haven't seen it yet, what are your thoughts around them? Because I haven't seen it either, but I know exactly what show you're talking about. And I'm sure the way that they filmed it is meant to be entertainment for in a sense, right? Mm-hmm. But for you, it's a reality that your mom told you about it, and then fast forward 20 years and you're like, holy fuck, like, this is a conversation me and my mom had in the kitchen that's now been made into a show
based on a true story.
What are your thoughts around that?
Anger, somewhat. Anger, kind of epiphany of like, yo, like, justice ain't always justice, and sometimes the people we're supposed to trust to be advocates for our freedom are the opposite. But then also, like, now that I'm a parent, it's like, how am I gonna get the importance through to my son and my daughter, mainly my son, the same way my mom was able to get it through to me? And I feel like it was a little easier for my mom to get it through to me because, like, I was always the darkest kid. I'm full black. Knowing that, well, people have mistaked me for other things, which just blows my mind. My wife thought I was Puerto Rican when she first met me. Oh, man. And this one girl in high school argued with the girl that I was dating that I was Panamanian because I wore green contacts and I used to put an S-curl in my hair. And that's like it's like a relaxer. But it's not, it doesn't make it straight. It just makes the curls more loose. So it doesn't look nappy. It actually looks curly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, my fear is that, like, when I see shows like that, like, my fear is that it could happen to my kids, or, what if it happens to me now? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. 'Cause I have my my conceal and carry, and one of the things that I battle with is like, should I keep my firearms or should I sell them and get rid of them? 'Cause like, people say, like, oh, you attract the energy you give out, which I agree with that, but I'm like not like, oh yeah, I'm about to go use my gun to like get today's food. Like I'm gonna rob a few people and blah blah blah, go gangbanging. Like no, like it's like if I'm taking my gun out today, nobody's gonna know I have it.
Yeah,
it's gonna be the same thing. It should essentially be the same thing as if I don't have it. Which is like a way better mindset. And I'm glad this happened like later in life. Now, if I would have had a gun in my 20s, probably be locked up. Somebody would have probably pissed me off on the road and I would have tried to shoot their tires out or something because I was stupid, you know? But I think about like a lot of stuff just like runs through my head. Have you seen Till, about Emmett Till?
I know the name. I don't think I saw the movie or the show, though.
So Emmett Till is a story about a young black kid who allegedly whistled at a white woman. And they beat him to death. And then they hit him. Then when his body was found, there was no justice for it. But Emmett Till, on the movie, it shows that Emmett Till grew up in Chicago, and that was up north, and his mom was from the South, and his grandma was like, he needs to go meet his cousins, he needs to be with his family, and his mom's like, no, he's gonna die down there, he don't know how things go in the South. And his grandma was like, we'll take care of him, blah, blah, blah. So she lets him go. And they go to the store, and he tells the lady that she looks like a model when he's buying candy. And he takes the picture out of his wallet to show her. And of course, she's a white lady, so she's appalled that this black boy is talking to her about how she looks. And she takes it as him hitting on her and tells her husband. And that's how he got killed. But when I watched it and they did the court trial, I'm not a crier. I don't cry during movies. Mm-hmm. I don't like when my grandma died. I love my grandma so much. But I like, because I'm a believer and because of how my parents raised me to approach death, especially like old age death. It's like they lived a nice life. They're somewhere better, and you know they're not here in this hellhole. Kind of like just for a short version and Fab language, but so like I don't cry and stuff. But man, that movie had me bawling because like I think about the stuff that I've seen, like the TV shows you're talking about, that we were just talking about, this movie, like all of the like random injustices, and there's like people in jail that like literally were living their life to like bro, I like country music. I love hip hop too, but I like country music. I wear cowboy boots. I think cowboys are really cool. That has a lot to do with my family though. But like I'm like the opposite of every black stereotype there is. Like, look, I have a freaking mullet. You know what I mean? Like
yes, you do.
You know, and like that's like on purpose, you know, that's like when I was a kid, I just like knew I didn't want to be a negative statistic. So like I would dress different. I didn't want to look like a thug in any way. I never, like when the do-rags were cool, I never wore a do-rag out except for at the basketball court. I would wear my do-rag. But I wouldn't wear a do-rag unless I had like a beanie over it or a hat. And I would try to make it unseen because I just didn't want people assuming things about me. I just like live my life to not go to jail or be mistaken for someone that's been in jail. And so like when I see these shows and stuff like that, it makes me think about people who doing the same thing as me and then they still end up in jail. and then they're in there rotting because justice is not fair. Yeah. That's something I'm still scared of to this day. Like, I probably won't.
I was just gonna ask you if that fear still walks with you to this day.
Heck yeah, bro.
You think it's about, is it less there, more there, the same there? Does it depend on the day?
It may depend on the day, but like, I live in Round Rock. So like, I mean, it's there. Round Rock is I don't know if you know their history, but Round Rock is like known for like Wilco, the county, Williamson County is like known for like planning shit and like being relentless and aggressive, and like my wife drives us places. My wife drives most of the time, partially because she's a stay-at-home mom and she says it's like her only excitement. But honestly, it's just her excuse because she's scared that we're going to get pulled over if I'm driving. And she's been in the car, like, we were coming from marriage counseling, and we did it at my church that I grew up at because it was free, and it was with a deacon that I grew up with, and, like, he's, like, one of my dad's best friends. And on the way home, we, like, had a little joint we rolled to smoke on the way back, and we smoked it on a back road, tossed it out, and, like, literally my wife had just cleaned up the car, and I had just vacuumed it out. And so I knew there was nothing in there besides the little stash can in the back with the joint roller in it, but no weed. Right when we get into Round Rock, like 6 police cars pull over all these cars speeding. And I was like, damn, speed trap, got your ass. I had my cruise control on. And I was like, babe, we're good. I got cruise control on. And I was like, but them boys is out tonight. Like, I was laughing about it.
Yeah.
And then the cop was next to us, and I was like, dang, he over here looking hard. And, like, I was still on the road. Like, I know not to catch eye contact with them when they're doing that. And I was like, it's all right, babe. He might get behind us and run our plates. I was like, but all the paperwork on the car is good, so we're fine. And he did that. He was on the right side, on the passenger side, and he was like looking at my wife. Then he slows down, he gets behind us, he runs the plates, and then he goes to pass us on the left side, and I fucked up and got eye contact with him in the rearview mirror. And he fucking slammed his brakes when he saw me. And I was like, he's about to pull us over, babe. And he got behind us and pulled us over. And I was like, he read Mallory Rodriguez when he ran your plates, and he saw a black guy with locks, because I had a full head of locks and my hair was about this long then. I was like, he sees a guy with locks in a car that's registered to Mallory Rodriguez. He probably thinks I stole it. And he pulled us over, and he told us he pulled us over for a license plate light. So I already knew what time it was, because even if my license plate light was out, he probably wouldn't have actually pulled me over. Right. But it's something he can pull me over for. And I gave him my ID. She gave him the registration because it was her car. He runs everything. No warrants, nothing. So he comes back and he's like, Mr. Bailey, can you step out the car? And I think you have to. I need to look that up, actually. But I think you do have to step out if they ask you. Mainly because, like, it could be for their safety. Because, you know, you could be holding a gun low.
Right.
Or whatever. So it's for their safety. But I was like, is there a problem, officer? Because I did not want to get out the car. And he was like, I just want to talk to you. I'm like, bullshit. You know, like, in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fine. You can say anything you need to in front of my fiance. And he's like, just step out the car. And I'm like, officer, no disrespect, but is there a problem? And he's like, all right, man, how much weed you been smoking? Because he smelt it. And before we got pulled over, I told her, I said, babe, we're in Wilco. Do not admit to smoking, because that will give them leverage to plant something on us. And he was like, how much weed you been smoking? And I looked at him. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was like, All right, step out the car. Okay. Get out the car. License plate light is perfectly fine. He's asking me questions. I only answer the questions I have to. Every time he asks me how much weed I've been smoking, I just stop talking and look at the license plate light. And finally, he caught on, and he was like, yeah, your license plate light is on. Maybe there's a wire loose. You hit a bump, and it came back on. Bro, we're on the fucking highway, and you just pulled me over. Like, where's the bump?
Right.
And he searched our car like 3 times, bro, and he picked up the stash can. And the stash can was, like, broken. Like, the bottom of it was hanging off. So he should have been able to see that it was a stash can. And it was, like, brake cleaner. It looked like brake cleaner or whatever. And he just shakes it. And it actually sounds like an empty rattle can.
Yep.
And he just threw it down 3 times, bro. And I'm like, this guy's a fucking rookie. And his higher up came and was asking us both questions. And then eventually they finally let us go home. And he didn't put that he searched the car on the warning that he gave me about the license plate light. But, like, my wife was, like, apologizing because she was like, it was me. I smoked. And I'm like, God damn it. Don't do that. And then, like, when we left, she was like, she'll listen to me next time. Because, you know, that's an opinion how something smells, technically.
Yeah.
You know, some people think bratwurst smell like shit. Some people think bratwurst smell like heaven.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's just another Tuesday for me. Like, I don't know. Like, I've been pulled over so many times. But I will say this. When I got my keys, because I didn't get a license, actually. I got a, what's it called? Do you know what a hardship license is? So, like, typically in military towns, it's common, or like a farm town where the child needs to drive for whatever reason. And so, like, you could get your license as early as 15, I think, with a hardship. And what we were going to do, because my dad was in Korea and my mom was working, and I did track. I had a job. I did I did as much shit as I could because my brother was like, if you want a car, you got to do too much stuff that mommy can't take you to, and she's going to let you drive. And that's exactly what happened. And, but my dad had a conversation with me. He was like, if you have a hoodie on, don't wear your hood. Don't have your back seat, your chair leaned back all in the back seat like your older brother. And he was like, and, you know, if you get pulled over, you know, this is how you talk to a police officer, blah, blah, blah. And then my friend's dad actually taught us to roll all the windows down and turn on the dome light, because what it does is give the cop full visibility and show that you're not hiding anything. Rolling all the windows down also gives them more visibility, and it helps them feel safe, and turning the engine off as well. So because I do that when I get pulled over, police officers feel safe. Most of the time they realize I'm fucking scared, and they either give me a ticket or they let me go. And so that being said, even though I was probably technically illegally pulled over or profiled when I got pulled over, I've never gotten a ticket I didn't deserve. But I have been pulled over and not gotten tickets, and it's very obvious that I shouldn't have been pulled over. That's why they didn't give me a ticket, because they couldn't. Well, they could have, but I was respectful, whether they were rude to me or not, and I didn't get a ticket. So I will say that. I like to make sure I say that, because, like, you know, there's a whole lot of controversy about police brutality and stuff, but, like, it sucks. It does suck that, like, you know, like, police officers are technically community servants, and, you know, you have to kind of like treat them like king when you get pulled over. So they're, kind of stroke their ego a bit. Because if you get a egotistical cop, then like you need to do that or else they're going to do what they can to make your life shitty.
Yeah.
But there's a way to handle yourself for every situation. So it does suck, but like a lot of times when I see like videos of now some of the videos I'm like, dang bro, like you just shot that fool in cold blood. But then some of the videos I'm like, your mom didn't tell you that's the result of how you were acting. Like my mom would tell me all the time, like, don't run away from a police officer. They're gonna shoot you. Don't yell and cuss at a police officer. They might shoot you. So like, no, it's not right, but right or wrong doesn't matter when the life leaves your body, Yeah. So I don't know, like if anyone takes anything from this and you are a young, old, you're a black man in America, turn on your hello officer voice or for reference to a movie, the sorry to bother you voice. You know that movie, Sorry to Bother You?
Chuckles.
The guy, it's like a movie where he's like, when he's on the phone, he's like, sorry to bother you. And he's making sales.
Right.
And he was doing really good. And like, he sound like and I don't even like saying this because like, how do you sound like a white guy? But he sound like a white guy on the phone when he's at work. And his actual voice was totally different. And it was a black guy. But I've always called that my hello officer voice. And I don't use it at the barber shop, but when I worked at the bank, definitely. Definitely use my hello officer voice at the bank.
Can we cut here for 1 second? So I'm going to run to the kitchen and refill our drinks here, but Flight has 2 kids at home that are already in bed and a wife that's waiting for him. So I'm going to take advantage of these last few minutes as much as I can.
Okay.
Why make these drinks? The question I really wanted to ask you before you go is, so you saw how your parents raised you, and now you said 30, right?
33.
33, sorry. So now you're 33. How old is your son right now?
1.
So you still have a year, 2, 3 years. When does a kid start to talk? Sorry for I don't have any kids, so I'm very bad at timelines, but about what age does a kid start to talk and you can sort of start to talk back and teach them about life?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, okay, so my daughter's 2 and she speaks a lot. I think she's advanced, but every parent thinks that about their kid. But my daughter's 2 and she speaks a lot and she collects thoughts. Lots of complete thoughts come out of her mouth, but there's something she grasps and there's something she doesn't. And there's something she like doesn't want to grasp and chooses not to, like sharing. But I know that she can. But they say that core memories start to form around 3 or 4. And like, I've actually been contemplating with like stopping smoking because of that. Not necessarily that. Like, it's not that I don't want them to know that I've done it or do it or have done it before, whatever the case may be when they find out. It's more so I don't want to be, like, if they make the choice to smoke marijuana, I want it to be because they decided to. Not because, like, my dad's always done it, my mom's always done it. It's, like, just what we do. Like, no, you know? But, I don't know, man. I try to teach my daughter and my son as much as possible. And I had a dog before this, and disclaimer, dogs and children are nothing alike. For those that think.
Tell me when.
That's good. That's probably the same as what it was before.
Nah, it's less. It's definitely less.
Okay. But like my homeboy used to always say, bro, these dogs have a brain. Just talk to them like people. And then watching my brother raise his children, he has an 18-year-old and a 20-something-year-old. But watching my brother raise his children, thank you. I remember him telling me to just talk to the kids like they're adults. They don't need to be talked to like babies. So I don't necessarily speak to them like babies or like full-blown adults, but I do kind of speak to them like they're older and like they grasp more than they do. Just because in my experience, it's like kids are way smarter than we give them credit for. Yeah. I actually think that, and we're about to get philosophical. I actually think that like from the beginning, like when kids are like babies and stuff, like have you ever seen a baby like give you an adult reaction or look and they cannot speak or move on their own, but like the look they give you is like they've been here before?
That and just 20-second story. There is also like when I used to work in the gym, I started in the kids area, and there is one baby who would scream her head off for everyone but me.
Oh, wow.
And so whenever her mom got there, me and that family got so close, they knew what my working schedule was because on my days off, they would not bother going to the gym.
Oh, wow.
So baby, I definitely, yes, to answer your question, I've gotten those looks from babies and it's like, why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah.
You know, it's way too mature for you. You're 6 months old.
Yeah.
But also then like experience with that baby, because I looked nothing like her dad. Me and her mom would talk about it all the time. She's like, she would even ask me like, what cologne do you wear? I was like, I don't wear cologne. Mm-hmm. You know, I was brown haired and dad was, I don't know, we look nothing alike. And for whatever reason, that baby just trusted me, and the rest of the staff, she's like, nope, fuck y'all.
Dang, that's crazy. Yeah. But that it happens like that sometimes. And like, you know, they always say kids are a good judge of character, but it doesn't always mean that like you're a bad person because a kid doesn't like you. Like it just means something about you is not gelling with them. But like because of stuff like that, like I realize like they're way smarter than we give them credit for. And if we teach them like they already know, they pick it up faster. So I don't know, like I've never had my kids like go after my gun. Like when my daughter was young, she used to like lift my shirt up and like look at it, and I always say, no baby, that's dangerous. No baby, that's dangerous. And she stopped. Before she could talk, before she could walk, she stopped. And like there's like one day there was something, she was like, that's dangerous, daddy. And it was not the gun. She was like, that's dangerous, daddy. And I'm like, it is dangerous, baby girl. And I like, you know, I want to be like, dang, you get that, you know, but like when you act like that, kids take note of it and they don't do it again. I don't know why, but like when you're like, oh, when they first start, like it's almost like it's probably like equivalent to like when you are on stage, or like if you walk into work and like you getting a surprise award and your whole job is like cheering for you and you're like low-key a little embarrassed because you weren't ready for it, you know? Yeah. Like it almost seems like they get that feeling and they don't like it. And so because they don't like it, they're like, okay, I'm not doing that again because I didn't like how that felt. Like they understand stuff, but it's like everything is kind of black and white for them at first. The gray area fills in as they get older.
So as they do grow up, I know the question I want to ask, but I'm not sure how I want to frame it. What kind of dad do you want to be to them? Like a lot of the things that you told me today and you told the audience, do you plan on telling your son and raising him similarly to your mom did? Or is there anything that you would do differently? Is there, and I don't mean that, you know, if your mom listens to that I don't mean that is anything disrespectful or
Of
anything
course,
like
yeah.
that, but you're 33 years old now. So you have you're 20 years past childhood in a sense. You're 20 years older than 13-year-old you've branched out from your parents under your parents' wing. You've got married, and now you have these two beautiful little kids where you it's on you now and on Mrs. Bailey. And have you guys talked about what do we want to tell them? When do we want to tell them?
Oh man.
What and if and
So it's funny because like a lot of these movies and that incident that I told you about in Round Rock has helped my wife understand more of where I'm coming from. And like I remember she used to like, I used to tell her like, man, when he gets a car, we got to tell him this. He has to understand this. And she's like, I don't want him living in fear. And I'm like, it's better for him to live in a healthy fear versus being oblivious, because being oblivious can get him in a hole he can't get out of.
yeah.
So I will take some of the same approaches as my mom. Maybe I'll try to be, it depends on the kid. Like, I think my daughter is gonna probably need to be told things how I was told things, a little bit aggressive, because she's like very like she's like strong-willed. She wants to be independent, and she likes doing things herself. So like I'm gonna have to be gentle with her though, because like she is sensitive too. But some things I'm gonna have to be like as blunt as possible. But I think that the difference is I think I want to be a little more open about the like not so good part of my life. Because like my mom, she never did drugs. She never drank. So, and she still doesn't. But now I don't know. Like, I don't know if my dad used to smoke weed. My older brother told me that my aunt said he did used to smoke weed. And when I asked my dad when I was a kid, and this was before I started smoking, he told me he used to smoke cigars. Which now that I'm older, I feel like that was his way of saying like, yeah, I smoked a little weed before. But he didn't want to tell me because he knew that like, if I knew he smoked weed, I would have been like okay with it. But because I didn't know and I thought he didn't, I wanted to maintain my sobriety through my teenage years. I drank a little bit, but that's also because like I was like, my dad used to drink, you know?
Yeah.
And I think my parents were very good at realizing that. So like, I hope that I can, I want to be like, the type of dad I want to be like is a lot like my dad. My dad didn't have to say a lot of things to me. Like, yeah, he told me stuff and gave me advice and stuff. But a lot of what I've learned from him is just literally watching him be him. Like, no one I've met that knows my dad has had a bad thing to say about him. A lot of people have like the utmost respect for my dad. When people talk about my dad, sometimes I can tell they like admire him, and it's like, you're a grown man. Like, why are you admiring another grown man? But like, it's also humbling and really cool to see that, because it also lets me know like it's okay to feel that way about other people. But I don't know, like I've just always seen my dad like like, for example, my dad was an aviation mechanic for helicopters, which is like, it's so weird because I know about that part of his life, but and I used to go to the hangar with him on post, and I got to see badass Apaches and all the other helicopters and stuff, like landing into the hangar or, you know, taking off and stuff, because that's where his office was. But I like, we've never like built cars together before or anything like that, and like he has a mechanical brain, but I've always seen him doing computers and stuff. And what the reason I bring that up is because he realized, like, I guess like 5 years before he retired, that he wasn't going to be able to renew a contract in the military because he wouldn't be able to get promoted because his knee. And his knee stopped him from doing a tour, and he would have had to do a tour in Iraq to go from first sergeant, which is EA, to sergeant major. And so instead of like being discharged and not having retirement and stuff, he used some of his GI Bill to get his computer certifications and his associate's degree. And he did this in a very short amount of time. Learned how to build computers. He had a friend that was into all of that. Had him come over, teach him everything. Learn how to build computers. Would like have malware on them and stuff like that. Like, the best computer I ever used growing up was the computer my dad made. The other computers we had were freaking garbage. They would always crash and everything. And so watching him like evolve and change himself so that when he gets out, he could provide for his family. And then on top of that, like when he retired, he went from like leading soldiers and being a boss to stocking shelves in Walmart while he waited to get the jobs he was applying for, just so that like we didn't have to change our comfortability. Like, I gained a lot of respect for my dad for that, because like that has to be a humbling experience, and that type of work could have it could have hindered his ability to get his disability from the military. And so like he was risking his future so we could stay comfortable. And I don't know, man, like when I was a senior and or sophomore and I saw that, at that point, like, you know, that's when you realize like, oh, you're old enough to become a dad, whether you're ready for it or not, you know? And that was always a thing. Like, by that time, my brother had, actually, he didn't have any kids yet, but like, you know, there were people I knew who had kids, my older brother's friends that had kids. You know, my mom had a kid early. My brother, she had him her junior year, and she graduated early but waited to walk with her class. So my brother was at her graduation. So like, I knew I didn't want to repeat the cycle, you know, but also like seeing my dad, it was like, well, my dad's not in that cycle. He didn't have a kid early. He's around for his kids. He's not a deadbeat. And I was just like, I can't, like, it made me respect him, but it also motivated me to be better. Because I was like, man, if I end up being like in jail or having all these baby mamas and, you know, I'm not taking care of none of my kids, then it's going to be like what's the difference between me and the little rich kid who ends up in jail and on drugs? You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference? Like, yeah, I may be working a 9 to 5 and not in jail and doing, you know, okay. But like, if, you know, 3/4 of my check is going to child support because I'm not around for my kids, and, you know, then I'm not any better. And my dad would always tell me, like, I'm raising you to be better. You're supposed to be better. And like, I can't get that out of my head still to this day. But yeah, man, I hope I answered your question. I always go on a little tangent, but
You did. No, but you did answer my question. And I do have one or two quick questions for you. But before I jump into those, I just want to say, you work full time. You're in a job that's physically demanding. You're standing all day. You got 2 kids. You're married. Thank you so much for coming over tonight. I have loved every second of this episode.
Bro, thanks for having me, man. I want to say this, like, when you asked me last year to come on the show, like, I didn't want to do it. I'm not going to lie. Like, I didn't want to do it with the guys. And then, like, after, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go back. Like, when you text me and asked me if I wanted to come back, I was like, no. But then I was like, why do I not want to go? And it's because, like my older brother used to tell me, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And, like, I was getting comfortable being comfortable. And, like, I've always wanted to, like, network a little more. Actually, podcasting. I would like to do a podcast of my own eventually. And, like, I don't know. I was just nervous. I was letting my nerves, like, scare me. And then, like, when you hit me up and was like, hey, if you still want to, I was like, man, I'm glad he hit me up. I'm going to do that. And, like, this year I'm, like, making it a goal to, like, work on my networking. Because, like, when I went through my, like, depression period in my early 20s, I, like, went from being, like, this social, like, butterfly, like, very, like, when I was growing up, bro, I was the president of Leo's Club. I ran track. I worked at the bank. I knew a lot of, I was cool with a lot of, like, I guess, like, prestigious families in Killeen. Like, a lot of my friends' parents owned, like, businesses that are still, like, fueling Killeen right now. And, so, like, if I would have stayed in Killeen, bro, I could have probably, like, ran for mayor or something, or been on, like, the city council. But when I went through my depression and, like, none of those people were there for me, and, like, I don't even know some of those people anymore, it's like, why did I realized I didn't, like, I was being someone that I wasn't, and I became, like, an introvert. And so, like, now I'm, like, I feel like it's detrimental for me to network more, be a little less of an introvert, be okay with making new friends, stuff like that. And I just feel like this is a step towards that. And then, like, what better way than to do a show with, like, someone as cool as you. And, like, you're pretty genuine, bro. Like, like, we're cool, we're friends, but, like, we don't hang out like that, and we're not, like, we don't, like, know each other, like, I know my friend that I talked about, my best friend, Isaac, who grew up with me. Like, we don't know each other like that, but, like, you can always tell when someone's, like, genuine. You know what I mean? Because, like, just the way that you phrase things and how you approach conversations, like, some people just talk to talk. I don't feel like that's you, But then also just, like, the questions you've asked and everything. Like, it's not like you're on here trying to, like, have me dig up my freaking skeletons in my closet, So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man, you're welcome, and that's, like, the best compliment you could give me. So
cool.
This is, like, the best moment of my 2024 so far.
Awesome.
Because I've said it, or I've thought it at least, that my goal is just to be as curious as possible. And that's what drives my questions. And I try not to move away from topics too quick. And I've told myself, like, if you're not satisfied, if you don't feel like you know enough yet, maybe even a question as simple as why. I've asked so many people, they'll talk, they'll answer a question, they'll speak on it for 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, and they'll say, why? And let's unpack that a little bit. But I also wanted to say that if you did want to start your own podcast, which is crazy because you're a busy guy, but if you do, please know that I'm here for you. I
Awesome.
will, I'm 50 episodes in. Episode 50 drops tomorrow.
Hey.
I've learned a lot. And this podcast was a mess when it started. So please learn from my mistakes. And if it's something you seriously want to venture into, and you want to have, you want to go out and grab lunch and talk about whatever you want podcasting related, I'm there for you.
Awesome.
So,
okay, cool.
so
I'm going to utilize you for that.
Please do. Before I ask this question, is there anything else that you wanted to share tonight, or are you feeling pretty good?
I'm feeling pretty good.
This was a great episode, man. It was so good. If you stuck with us for the last 2 hours, I do have one more question for Fabian before he goes. But if you stuck with us for the last 2 hours, I'm assuming you liked it as well. And there are people that could be inspired, motivated, or could even learn something practical from this episode. So please do me a favor, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You know what? Actually, instead of going at all that bullshit, tell one person about this episode. I've never asked that of the audience before.
Nice.
If you listened to this entire episode and you enjoyed it, just tell one person. Say, go listen to Flight's episode on David's Saturday Night Sit Back, and don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone that you think would also enjoy it. With that being said, I'm starting a new tradition in 2024. I'm stealing questions from other podcasts that I think are very interesting, and I'm ending the episodes with them.
Okay, before you end the episode, I'm sorry.
Nope, not at all.
I did think of something I want to say.
Yeah.
If you are someone who is trying to, like if you're like me in my early 20s and you're wondering why you're in that hamster wheel and you're wondering why like things aren't going as planned, and like you've been finding excuses or things to blame it on, ask yourself one question and then do something after it. How is this my fault? Ask yourself, how is this my fault? And then do what you can about it. And as cliche as it sounds, control the things that you can control. Because I feel like, I still do it to this day. Like, I focus on things I can't control, and I get mad about the things that are out of my reach instead of being able to control what I can control. Because you'll be focused on what you can't, and you'll lose control of what you can control.
I'm going to use that advice. I won't go into details, but I have something at work for my day job, not the podcast, that happened about 3 weeks ago, and it's got me in a brain funk. And every time it comes to mind, I think about how wrong the other person is.
Yeah.
So that me, not tonight, but I'm going to keep this in mind, and I'm going to mule on that, because that is a good perspective of, we are so often quick to be like, no, that was fucking your fault, and not ask ourselves. And it wasn't an argument. It's not. It's a weird situation, which is why it's been on my mind for 3 weeks. When I run into a roadblock in life, usually I can get over it pretty quick, and it's out of my mind within 48 to 72 hours.
But this is living rent free.
This one is living rent free in there, baby. Hell yeah.
You're like, you're wrong, Colonel Sanders. Yeah.
Let me ask you this to wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Are you happy?
Am I happy?
Yeah, in general.
In general, yes. Honestly, no.
Maybe we're not ending this thing.
So, like, and like I go through this, I feel like I go through like somewhat of like a like seasonal depression.
Sure.
And it comes in waves throughout the year, and like every time it happens, like I understand that it's not real, but it seems like not that it's not real, but like I understand that it's like coming from a negative place that I don't need to be in. And I like want to go on this self-sabotage like streak. And I used to do that as a young adult and a kid, just going self-sabotage. Like when a girl would break up with me, like I'd just start fucking hoes. Cause I was like going on a rampage. Like all these girls is getting from me is hard dick and bubblegum. Excuse my French. But like, like, you know, like I'm all like, but I'm a lover boy. Like I'm a gentleman. I'm a lover boy. So like that stuff was hurting me more than it was hurting these girls because that's what they wanted. That's why it was possible for me to have that, you know? But I am happy. I'm really happy. Like I have a good job. My work doesn't feel like work. I honestly never thought that I would have a job that work didn't feel like work unless it was fashion, because that's like always been my dream.
I forgot that aspect of you. Yeah, we didn't even touch on that.
I know we didn't, which is crazy. But I cut hair for a living. That's something I've done for free since I was in 10th grade, and I've always loved doing it. It calms me. I have ADD, so working with my hands is good for my brain. So like cutting hair has always been a pastime that I like to do. That's why I also like making clothes. But in that aspect, it's good. But also like I'm really hard on myself, and I feel like I could be more successful. And that's kind of a financial thing, so it's bad. Like the part of me that's not happy is the financial side, and it's simply because I give money too much power, if that makes sense.
Could I give you a potential perspective on success that maybe you haven't heard before?
Let's do it.
Right now in your life, the people that you want to love you, do they love you?
Yes.
You're successful.
Man, you know, my wife would really like that, because that's, in a nutshell, what she tells me every day. She doesn't say it like that, but every time I'm like down on myself, she's like, babe, I'm a stay-at-home mom. Your kids adore you. And I'm thankful for every dollar that you get, whether you're thankful for it or not. And she's, I don't know, like, I don't know where I would be without her, but that's a really good perspective, bro. And I do feel like, because, like, you know, one of my friends, he's a reality TV star. And
as we all have one of those in our life. I'm being a little bit sarcastic,
but he it's crazy because like listening to him tell me what he thinks about me, it's kind of crazy because like I always viewed him as like, and I mean I still view him as pretty successful. You know, he would always talk about like wanting to be like, and this is before personalities were really a thing, but like a personality. And I used to tell him that too. I used to be like, bro, it's called a personality. That's what you want to be, when we were kids in high school and stuff. But I always like viewed him a certain way. And honestly, I still view him that way. But the other day he was like, man, bro, like, I only know 2 people taking care of their shit. Like, they're supposed to be like you. And I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, bro, you're paying your bills. You're taking care of your wife and your kids. He's like, that's what a man's supposed to do. And, you know, it's like, then my other friend, Isaac, we were like 3 musketeers. When I tell him I'm going through my seasonal depression, he's like, you're a fucking psycho, bro. And then he like hypes me up after that. And it's just really crazy to hear that from them, because like I was always the conceited, kind of like immature one. And like I'm like this totally different person now. Like I'm all about trying to be humble. In barber school, this educator, Miss Barbara, shout out to Miss Barbara.
Shout out Miss Barbara.
Actually, real quick, also shout out Tom and Yasha and my boy Tank. Those are all, and also Coach as well.
Tom, Yasha, Tank, Miss Barbara. I missed one.
And Coach.
Coach.
And mainly the first four. Coach was like kind of more hands off by the time I got there, but like those people helped change my life. And Miss Barbara told me, she said, I'm a student of life. She said, I learned something from everyone, whether it's good or bad. And she like broke down what kind of stuff she learned from all the students that were there and not even close to graduating yet. And then she told me, she was like, her dad always told her this: life is eating the fish and taking out the bones. And like that has changed my life tremendously. Like I try to humbly look at everything as a student, and like, you know, part of being conceited is thinking you know it all. And I started to realize I didn't know it all when I got to Nordstrom and I was a visual merchandiser. You know, I'm a fashion guy and I thought I knew everything about fashion. And then I would like dress the mannequins, lay out the floor thinking I did it right. And then my boss would be like, this is all wrong. And I'm like, what do you mean? This is my shit. Like, what do you mean I'm wrong? You're wrong, you know? and so I had to start learning, you know, and then barber school helped me kind of get over that line. Woo! Yeah, bro. This podcast will be 8 hours if we keep going.
Yeah, and every time too, I ask you a question, I say this is my final question. Then you answer it, and I think of a follow-up question. So I'll just have to jot down the ones that sort of went through my head. And I would love to have you back on, whether it's 6 months from now, a year from now.
Okay.
Just know that you are definitely. I'm just going to throw it out there right now. I'd be more than happy to have you back. So
awesome.
We can do another one in the future. But in the meantime, if you happen to live in Austin, Texas, I know we have listenership. I found out we have listeners in 26 countries, which is wild. Most of them are in the U.S. 95% are U.S. based, but we do have 5% outside of the U.S. That being said, if you're an Austin, Texas listener, Flight works at the Bearded Barber off of, it's West Anderson, right? Is that the main street?
Is that?
If you just Google Bearded Barber ATX, you'll find it.
So we could have it correct, because I always want to say Burn It, but it's not Burn It.
And I'll put it in the show notes as well. I'll put the address of the shop. I'll put Flight's Instagram page. I'll put the website of the shop. So I'll make it very easy to find. But if you live in Austin, Texas, and you're not happy with how your hair currently looks, you should go to that barber shop. Book an appointment. They do not take walk-ins. They're too busy. They're booked out at least a week or two in advance. So do not try to walk in.
Yeah, 2939 West Anderson Lane, and or at Flight Cuts on Instagram.
Yep, we'll put it in the show notes.
That's FlightKutz, and I spell it with a K because I'm from the K. Yeah, man, book an appointment. We have 3 great barbers there right now, and you know, we're soon to hire another one. We lost a really good man.
He ain't shit.
No, we lost a really good man.
He's a good barber.
Yeah, he's a good barber. I like him as an individual. My boy Phil, but he's at the point in every barber's career that you should get to, where you go off and do your own thing and get ready to open your own shop. But come check us out at Bearded Barber, and if you are in the Westlake area, check out my boy Phil as well. And that's, what is that, 2939 Barber Salon?
It's 3636 Salon and Barber Shop,
yeah,
I think?
3636
3636, yeah. I've been there a couple times, and I just made an appointment yesterday. I was like, what's it called again? But yeah, if you just Google Phil Winfrey, you'll find him. If you Google Phil Winfrey, Austin, Texas. But yeah, man, this was a great episode. Hope you meet a few people. I've had a few people come up to me in the gym, and it's so funny because they won't even give me any context as to like, oh, I listened to your episode. they will just start talking. I had a dude come up to me the other day and make a very specific comment about a very specific episode. So my hope for you is that a new face walks into the shop with an appointment and they start talking about something that you talked about.
Heck yeah.
And about 10 seconds in, you're going to be at first really confused. And then 5 or 10 or 15 seconds in, you're going to be like, oh shit, they heard the episode. Mm-hmm. So I hope that happens for you.
Yeah, man, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you, bro. This was fun.
This was fun. All right, everyone, stay healthy, stay happy. We will see you next Saturday for another episode. Bye, guys.
Adios.